I don't feel like God is the kind of God that gets angry at sin. I mean, hell, really. I wonder how many times you've heard someone say something like that. I wonder if you've said something like that. We are talking about theology, and when we talk about theology, one of the most important questions that we can ask and make sure we get right is, who is the final authority about God and what God is like? I remember when I was in university, I had grown up in a Christian home. I went to university, and when I went to university, I struggled with doubt like I never had before. I mean, doubt, 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 doubt. One reason I struggled with doubt was because I knew if God became man and died for me, then no sacrifice I could make for him would be too great. I couldn't just live a halfway life. Christianity is either all true or not true. And another reason I struggled with doubt, honestly, is because I struggled with the idea of the wrath of God. I mean, how can God send little old grandmas to hell? It was a hard time for me, and I kept crying out to God, please help me, please help me, please help me. And at the end of about 2 years, through that whole process, he really did. And one thing that he did was he humbled me. And he made me realize I'm not even smart enough to figure out how light works. How do I expect to be able to explain all the ways of God? Another way he helped me was by showing me that at the end of the day, the problem's not with God, the problem's with me. In other words, if I could see God for who he is, then I'm going to see sin for what it is, and I'm going to hate it the way that he does. If I'm going to see God for who he is and see sin for the way it is, you know what I have to do, though? I have to go back to the Word of God. I have to let God speak and tell me what he's like, and tell me what is true, and tell me what I should believe. The Bible is the final authority for what God is like. That's the way we do theology. Everyone has to trust an authority. You know that, right? I mean, even people that are evolutionists and atheists, they are, whether they admit it or not, they are trusting an authority. That's how you have to live life. There's someone you trust what they say. And as Christians, who do we trust? Who do we believe gets to speak on God? Well, we believe God gets to speak on God. And 2 Timothy chapter 3 tells us that in the scriptures he has spoken, which means that when I come to the scriptures, I'm not the judge over it. I can say, I don't think God should be like this, or I think God should be like this. But at the end of the day, you know what? Who really cares what I think? What matters is what God says. God gets to tell me what God is like, and God's a lot smarter than me. So when he tells me what he's like, what is true, what is right, I submit, because he really does know what's best. And if we're going to do theology, quick theology, if we're going to do theology, what is going to be our authority? Who is going to be our authority? You have to get that right before you go anywhere else. We believe God is the final authority, and he reveals himself in his word.